What we're doing today is making rhubarb and orange jam. To make jam, you need to soften your fruit. It needs to be really soft and pulpy. Well, first of all, I need to wash the rhubarb because obviously it's come straight from the ground. I don't fancy any bugs or snails being on it. And then I need to chop it into smaller pieces so it'll go soft quicker whilst taking any not very nice bits. About 5-6 years ago now, we decided to go all fruity on our allotment. And so I thought, well, we might just make jam, and found it was easier than I thought it was going to be. My nan always made jam. A fridge used to be absolutely heaving with things, and jam would be everywhere. If you wanted some jam on toast, it was which flavour, everything was in there. While the rhubarb's softening, we're going to soften the peel of the oranges. Put it in a little bit of water to soften it. There's a lot of older people do jams, and I think there's a fair few younger people coming up and doing it now. But if you speak to any, older generation, then they've made jam. With the oranges, you've got to make sure that you turn them. You need the skins really soft for the flavours to come out. I love giving, and I think if it's something I've personally made, then it feels better giving that than something that I've just gone and bought. A lot of people are a bit funny with rhubarb. When I say I make rhubarb jam, they say, oh no, I couldn't eat rhubarb jam. If you put it with other fruits, it just takes that tangy, takes that bitterness, that taste away. So you just get a slight taste of rhubarb and then other flavours as well. The next stage is putting the oranges to cool, and then when they cool down, we'll cut them up and use the insides to flavour the jam further. And get it out without... And we'll turn off this jam, this rhubarb. There we are, and we'll just let that cool down now till I can touch it so I don't burn my fingers. I'm just going to put this on top of the cooker before I start boiling the jam, because if the heat's too hot on the bottom of the pan, the jam will burn. So you need to take that, just have a little bit of distance in between. While I'm waiting for the oranges to cool, I can start preparing my jars. I'm just going to give them a quick rinse out, and then I'm going to sterilise them, but also warm them up, because you need to put jam into warm jars or you'll break the jars. So I'll need to put boiling water into the jars. So I'll just bob that on and give these a quick rinse out. I'm pouring this boiling water into these jars. Number one, to sterilise them, but also to warm them up for when the jam goes in them. And what I need to do is, hopefully, if they're okay, I'll be able to remove the pulp and just use the pulp, which is the middle bit. I'm going to leave them to cool down, they're very hot. With the jam, I'm going to mix it with the rhubarb. To give it more orange flavour. Yeah, I'm going to have to leave them a bit, they're really hot. Right, I'm going to see if this pulp will come away from the skin. If it's a bit tough, I won't use it, I'll just squeeze it. No, I'm going to have to squeeze it. It should have been boiled a little bit longer for me to use the pulp inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squeeze them to get some more orange juice out. So then the rhubarb's got the flavour from the skins, and then also the orange juice in the middle as well. It doesn't look like there's any seeds in them. What I'm going to do now is just heat it back up again slowly, then add the sugar, and then the sugar is going to just dissolve, and then after that we'll boil it up to the rolling boil, which can't be stopped when you stir it. 4 minutes thereabouts. Right, I'll put the sugar in. As I say, to 3 pounds of fruit, it's a full bag of jam sugar, or granulated sugar if the fruit doesn't require pectin. And keep it on a low heat because we don't want it to boil up yet until the sugar's dissolved. So I'll turn it down a bit actually. Just wait till every last granule of sugar's dissolved, and then we can start raising the heat and pulling it to a rolling boil. Yep, starting to spit. Right, I'm just going to take this off the heat because it's actually on a rolling boil. And I'm going to test the jam to see if it's ready to go into the jars, which means it'll set. That looks very thick. The cold plate cools it down quicker. If it's ready, when I put my finger through it, it'll separate and a skin will form on the top. And that means it's ready to go in the jars, and then it'll set firm. It doesn't have to be set solid, because you do want to be able to spread jam. But yeah, we'll just take it off the heat so it doesn't go past the setting point. That looks quite good. It's still quite hot. I'll let that cool down a little bit more. I'll just put my finger through it, and if it separates and stays separated, it'll be ready. Yeah, I can just see a skin forming on there. Can you see it's getting quite a bit of an edge to it, so that's ready as that. So I always say it always makes a love heart. Right, I'm just going to let that cool down just for a couple of seconds, and then we'll pour it into the jars. Right, I need to empty these jars out. I'll just get this ready to pour into my jars. Now I use a cut-off funnel to sip it in so it doesn't go all down the sides of the jars. And then it's just a matter of pouring it in. Now it still looks quite runny, but it's because it's so hot. When it cools down it should set quite nice. Now this isn't a firm set jam. It's I call a medium set. It won't be solid. Use that one, I think. I don't like to waste anything, so all gets scraped out, and hopefully should have a full jar, I'm hoping. Oh, it's not going to do a full jar, but never mind. And the pan's empty. Right, I usually just put that water in there. Now I'm just going to put some wax discs on the jars. I just tend to put them just on the top there. If I've ever bought any homemade jam before from anybody else, they've always got them in, so I've just followed on what everybody else does. Doesn't say on the packet what to do with them, but those away. Now there's a special technique with these cellophane. I used to, when I first did it, I used to put them on and just put the lid straight on, but if you wet them it creates a tight, airtight seal. So there we have 5 jars of jam with 2 pounds of fruit and a bag of sugar.